You are listening to the To Stay, To Leave, To Know podcast, where I cover the most common questions running through your mind as you're considering whether to stay married and try again or part ways. I'm your host, Anna, an empowerment and mindset coach for ambitious women like you who are in a dilemma and considering divorce or separation from your long term partner. I'm here to help you filter through all of the thoughts you're having, whether and how you can save your marriage. This podcast is here to provide commentary and nuance on the most common experiences that are making you consider divorce as an option, to help you discern from the online noise and advice and bring depth to the conversations. Because when I was in that same confusing and dark space, I felt very isolated and alone. For nearly 4 years, I was stuck in a space of indecision, confused by everyone else's differing opinions, with no one to turn to guide me through it. Feeling the weight and the gravity of such decision on my own future, the future of my son, and everyone else around us. Once I started talking, I realized I was not alone. So many other women were going through very similar challenges, in silence, isolated, often out of shame or lack of trust in others. I'm here to put a stop to it and finally provide the guidance for this period I call the void. I'm here to bring clarity and be a guiding light as you're feeling torn between honoring what your heart desires and what the society expects you to do. So let's get going. Okay, I felt it was important to address this. He's such a good dad. And I think this topic is really crucial to cover, especially in the context of women considering divorce and separation and going between, oh, whether we should stay or like considering those pros and cons and all of that. And one of the things that I often hear is that he's such a good dad. And I want to cover some of the scenarios and give a bit of my perspective, the scenarios that I see where people consider, oh, he's such a good dad, or the scenarios that couples go through. And then some of my perspectives on that one and things that I think you should consider and take into consideration when you are making that decision. You will see in one of the episodes, I talk about a death of a marriage by a thousand cuts. And I do talk about this dynamics where there is no major things in the relationship that are a problem. There's no cheating, there's no infidelity, there's not a problem between the couple. Like on the surface, it looks like it all functions. There's no major issues. However, like there are some minor, like some things that are actually not working and that bother you. And those are the scenarios that I want to cover and want to talk about today. And at the same time, he doesn't show you that he appreciates you. He doesn't show you that you are loved and seen. He does not show you that he sees you for who you are. And then, is he actually a good dad if the only person making sacrifices in the relationship is you? When there is this dynamic that dad goes and he has free time to do his things. He goes to the pub with his boys, or he goes plays football, or goes plays golf. But at the same time, mom never gets the opportunity. You as a mom never get an opportunity to have free time and focus on your hobbies. So I am asking you whether he is a good dad if he's normalizing that you as a woman should give up on your identity. Because for me, from that perspective, it's like we're normalizing that you should give up on everything and you should make all the sacrifices. You should forget who you are. You should not care about the things that you want and need. And then also normalizing that your kids will see you as a servant, as the person who does all the sacrifices, as the person who gives up on herself. To your son, it is a lesson that this is what a woman should do. It sets an expectation expectation of a relationship that he should do this in his future relationship and expect servitude or a sacrifice from their partner, that she is going to abandon that. At the same time, you're teaching your daughter that her needs don't matter, that she should give up on the things that she needs, that she wants, that eventually, as a mother, she will have to abandon herself and her identity. So I'm asking you right now, is he a good dad if through his actions you are normalizing that? You're teaching your children those lessons. If he sees you, you're frustrated, you express your frustration. You can't always have the conversation in private. So you express your frustration in front of your kids and say, look, I really need more support. I really need more hugs. I really need more of this. I want more connection. And then he ignores it. He ignores your bids for connection. And then your kids notice that he does not give you enough attention, that he does not give you what you want. It normalizes that. It's teaching your kids, it's normalizing that it is okay to ignore your partner. It is teaching your kids that mom's needs are not as important, that it's okay to behave towards mom or the future partner like that it is okay to just allow it to go in one ear and the other ear and not do anything about it. It's normalizing complacency, and it's normalizing dysfunctional behavior for the future of your kids. Normalizing dysfunctional behavior and relationships for your kids and their future. Does that make him a good dad? But they're jabs at your expense, but they're masked as jokes. Is that actually a good dad? Because that way he's teaching his kids is it's okay to disrespect and make fun of mom. It is okay to pretend that you're joking, but you're actually making insulting or humiliating jokes towards your partner. Is this what you want for your kids? Is that a good lesson for your kids? And let me be clear, I'm not here to bash men. I'm not here to discredit things that they're doing. But I want you to also consider when he is doing those things, to consider the balance that, yes, when he is doing those things, he's also teaching your kids a different lesson. So if your reasoning to stay is because he's a good dad, I want you to consider those aspects. What are you in turn and what normalizing? What is he normalizing with that kind of behavior? What are you both normalizing with that behavior? And what lessons are you passing on to your children? And I'm not here to say that this is what every man does and that I'm hating on all men. But I want you to consider if this is the case, if you are going through that, if you recognize these dynamics, to give it proper weight. Because if you are considering that he's doing all of these things, but you're not taking this into consideration, you're not being actually objective about this. And I'm not here to push you in any direction. I'm just here to give you a bit more nuance and things to consider when you are making your decision. I have made different cases for yes and no throughout this whole podcast. You will see. And I've given you nuance for each of the scenarios. Now, even if he is an amazing dad, even if all of these things are taken into consideration, is that enough for you? Even if he's not doing these things, not making side jobs, even if those scenarios are not, e- even if that is the case, is this still enough for you to want to stay? That's a question that I'm going to ask you to take away with you. Okay, sit down, consider all the pros and cons. Okay, and now that you have done that, does I want you to check in with yourself and be honest with yourself. Does him being a good father take precedence over whether he's also a good husband to you? Okay. Which is more important to you? Does that, if he's a good father, but there are certain things that he could do better as a husband, does that still make you want to stay with him? And I'm not going to say that there are no scenarios in which, yes, a husband is like, he's doing all of the things as a father, but got a bit complacent with the busyness and everything. You forget to do those touch-in points, not making him the bad guy. Of course, like we are all under pressure with responsibilities, with all of the things that we need to take into consideration. Our time has been consumed with the responsibilities, with expectations that the society have of us, the responsibilities as parents towards the job, all of that. And it is easy to fall into a trap where you two are not actually connecting anymore. And in that situation, I completely understand. I'm not putting blame on you or him. It's simply the case for the circumstances. So if he's a good dad, but two of you no longer have any connection and you are not moving forward and there's no connection as there was before, when you look at your values, is this still enough for you to want to stay with him in the relationship? Is this enough for you to continue the marriage? Because I want you to sit with yourself and think about it. Like, okay, is bringing my kids up in this kind of dynamic important for me, even though we no longer have that connection, passionate, deep connection as we did before? Is it important for me to continue the marriage and keep the sanity and keep them? Is it important for me to continue with the marriage and keep the structure and the dynamics of the family for the sake of my kids? Is that what's more important for you? Are you willing to wait it out until they're a bit older? Those are the things that that I want you to ask of yourself. Which part of that is more important? And when you get to that stage, I also want to ask you whether to think about whether staying married while you both are not feeling fulfilled, you're both not living to your full potential, you are not expressing the passion and doing what you want, and not living, not staying true to yourself of wanting to be loved and being in a passionate, loving relationship. Does that serve your kids? Does that serve the purpose? Whether that, and does that serve you? Does that serve you or your partner? Is that actually for the benefit and for the highest good of all, where you're both sacrificing your happiness and your fulfillment for the sake of your kids, where you're preserving the marriage for the sake of the kids? And are you actually doing them any favors by doing so? What kind of lessons are you teaching them in there? And the last question, and I want to bring you this to you for attention from a personal experience. As a fierce and ambitious woman who keeps doing these things, who has worked so hard on yourself, and you're staying true to yourself in all other areas of your life, of your business, do you feel content and actually fulfilled if you're not honoring yourself that and your needs, and if you are abandoning one part of yourself for the sake of someone else, if you are denying yourself the total fulfillment in order to preserve the marriage for the sake of your kids, if you're not honoring what is deep down in your soul, not a want to experience full love and appreciation by the partner, but a deep need at this stage of your life, do you actually feel fulfilled? I remember when I was going through this dilemma, and I remember I was running, I was doing my business, and I was talking about all of this confidence and sovereignty and all of that. But at the same time, I felt like I wasn't fully truthful because I wasn't fully truthful to myself. I felt like I wasn't fully truthful to myself. I wasn't fully honoring myself, as if I was hiding something, as if I was lying to myself, as if I was lying to my customers. Oh, she's such a powerful woman, but she's settling for this. And it felt such a big incongruency, like such a big incongruency within myself, as if I'm deceiving others and as if I'm deceiving myself. I wasn't honoring, as if I was lying to myself. So, this is what I invite you to sit down with yourself and think about it. Okay, you're not sure how you want to proceed. You don't know. You have all these dilemmas, all these things that to take into consideration. I appreciate that. I acknowledge that. It is not an easy decision, especially because there's so much that depends on this. Your lives, if you make the decision to leave, your lives, the whole family will be impacted. Your kids, the future, your husband, your family's friends, everything. You understand the gravity of situation. But I also want you to understand the gravity of staying in such a space where you're not honoring yourself and what you need, where you're not honoring that it is a need to experience a certain kind of partnership and certain kind of love and relationship and affection. So if this is you and now you're considering and you are not sure where to go from here, and there are so many aspects that you need to take into consideration, your dynamics might be different from what I have mentioned in this podcast and the rest of it. But let me help you guide you through it. Let me help you uncover where are your shadows, where are the habits or behaviors where you're not seeing the full picture, where you're um, doing the avoidance, where are you fooling yourself about this, where are you burying your head in the sand. Let me get help you get clarity, and let me guide your hand through the decision, whichever decision you make, so that you can stay whatever decision you make, so that you can stay grounded in that decision, that you choose it fully, full body, mind, and soul, spiritually. You choose that decision, and regardless of how you might feel after it, that you know that this was the right decision for you, that there will be no regrets moving forward. Let me help you through that. Let me guide you. Let me walk with you, and let me help you stay regulated through that. Because whatever decision you make, it will feel dysregulating at time. So your next step is, if this is you and if you're ready to take the next step, is to fill out the form and apply for a exploration call with me, where we'll see whether we are a good fit to work together, and where we will see in which capacity I can support you. I'm sending you all my love.